Okay, so I am going to welcome our very special guest, Hadas, who is here to cook with us.
Hey, hi everyone. It is so good to see all of you, even if it's online and on the screen. So my name is Hadas, and here with me
Hi, and I'm Gil.
is Gil as well. And I don't know, we probably met most of you, but in case we haven't, so we are the shlichim for the Jewish community here in Houston, which means that we came all the way from Israel to create Israel education programs and different opportunities in the community. So I work with the Jewish Federation.
And I work for the JCC.
Yeah, and today we're gonna have a cooking class, and we're all together going to learn how to make shakshuka. I don't know if you know shakshuka, but it's really great, so I highly recommend it of that.
I don't know what about you, but every time I tell somebody I'm from Israel, they say, "Oh, I love shakshuka." So
It's true.
I think most people know what it is.
Yeah, the same thing here. So I'm just kind of wondering who is in the kitchen and playing on cooking with us live today. Yay, perfect. I can see a lot of hands raising. Perfect. So keep your hand up if you saw all the list of ingredients and things that you need to have with you. We have a few. Perfect. So we're just going to go through all of them, making sure that we all have everything that we need. And then we're gonna get started. So the first thing that we need, and every shakshuka needs, and the thing that I love the most about the recipe is that you can add every single thing. So shakshuka, the base of the dish is a tomato sauce, but it can also be steamed spinach, and it can also be broccoli. So you can make a green shakshuka, and you can make red shakshuka. It's really all depends on what you want and need.
Yeah, so we mostly eat shakshuka or for breakfast or dinner, but we love shakshuka so much, we'll have it for lunch as well. But people actually sometimes will even add some kind of sausage to it if they want to make it a little more meaty. We are going to stick with the original shakshuka, the good and basic one.
Okay, so before we actually gonna start, I would love that if you have all the ingredients in front of you, if you can just kind of show it to us, and if you can unmute yourself and just share what you have prepared on the side already. So I can see who is that. Avery have some things. I saw that Sammy has a bottle of olive oil next to her.
I see Dahlia has a cat.
A cat is always nice not to put on the shakshuka, but it's nice to have in general. So some of you want us to see what you have. I can see some eggs going on. Oh, perfect. Right. Look at Stephanie. You have perfect. You have your diced tomatoes in a can. So that's perfect. You can use them either in a can or fresh tomatoes or a week-old tomatoes, which is probably the best for this specific recipe. Perfect. Looks good, Stephanie. Okay, Leora. Perfect. I don't be careful over there, but it looks perfect. So you're good as long as they're still in the bowl. You got it perfectly.
So my favorite thing to use is you can use like tomatoes from a can. You can use everything. My favorite thing to use is what we call a ayef, a tired tomato. It's not as firm, it's a little bit sad, so it's kind of, we call it a tired tomato, and that is perfect for shakshuka because you're just gonna throw it in the pan and it's gonna cry itself until it makes a sauce.
Okay, Stephanie, are we good to go? Yay, perfect. So we're just gonna open up again and saying everyone, welcome to our shakshuka project and our shakshuka cooking class. My name is Hadas, and I'm the shlicha for the Jewish Federation here in Houston.
And I'm Gil, and I'm married to Hadas. That's what I'm mostly known for, but I also work at the JCC.
Yeah, also true. So we welcome everyone to join us either now or after. So we're going to start, actually Gil is going to start by cutting the onion. So I don't know if you chopped it already or not, but you have the onion in front of you. And it's really up to you to what size you want to chop the onion. Yeah, it can be like diced. I'm just gonna move the microphone to the other side. It can be diced into small pieces. It can be really, really large pieces. It's all up to you. It's all up to you and how much you like onion in your shakshuka. So some people like big chunks of onion. Some people don't like onion at all. But even if you don't like onion at all, please use even a little bit because it helps you get the really nice richness of flavors. So we really, really want to make sure that we get all the nice flavors of the shakshuka. So Gil is really talented, as you can see, and he's already chopping the onions. So if you don't have your onions chopped yet, you can join us and do it in here as well. I can see that Audrey is peeling the onion over there. Good job. It looks great. And if you already have it chopped, just place it in a small bowl in the side. So we were very, very lucky to prepare a small bowl in advance. And we sent you the recipe with all the ingredients and all the portions that you need to make shakshuka. But actually, you can really adjust this, depends on how many people are cooking and how many people want to eat. So you can always start with one single onion. And then if you needed the sauce to be, if you need to have more sauce, you can always add more tomatoes. So that's really easy. So today we're going to use cherry tomatoes because that's what we have at our home at the moment. And we didn't want to go outside too much and go to the supermarket. And we had those week-old tomatoes, so we decided to use them. And actually, a funny story about cherry tomatoes. I don't know if you know that, but they were all invented in Israel, which is a really funny story because I don't know if you know that, but in Israel, we don't have a lot of water resources. So in Houston, it rains a lot. In Israel, not so much. And we only have one lake with sweet water in Israel. So we really don't have a lot of water. And Israeli scientists were looking for a way to create a tomato that is not going to use that much water. So they decided to create this little cherry tomato. And the reason we call it cherry tomato is that it looks like a little cherry, which is really nice. Also, Israel is famous for olives. That's Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. That is true. And fun fact about olives is that you cannot take, in Israel, you cannot take an olive tree and tear it down. In order to do that, you have to have a permission from the government and you have to plant it somewhere else. So if you have an olive tree in your house and you want to just take it away, you cannot do that. You have to place it somewhere else. And the reason for that, or another something that the olives in Israel are known for, is that it is the symbol of peace, right? We all know the dove, the peace dove with the leaf of the olive in her mouth, and it's part of Israel symbols. So
yeah, and olive oil has been a part of even Jewish life. In the Bible, we know that to make a king, you have to anoint him like oil, limshoach b'shemen. So we literally use olive oil since the day of the Bible up until today. We have some olive trees in Jerusalem that are hundreds, almost 1,000 years old.
It's really, really fascinating. So as we speak, Gil is cutting the cherry tomatoes into halves. And once again, you can cut them whatever size that you want. If you already have them diced in a can, that is perfect. Just what you want to make sure that it's actually diced tomatoes and not just like full canned tomatoes, because if it's full, you just want to cut them to like fours or little dices, just so it would be nicer to eat it. So in conclusion for now, we have the onion chopped and we have the tomatoes chopped. We have a garlic that is about to be chopped as well. It's really funny. We couldn't find any regular garlic in the supermarket yesterday, so we bought this big elephant garlic, which I didn't even know it's a thing, but apparently it exists. If you don't have some of those ingredients, you can always replace them. So if you don't have onion, you can use onion powder, or you can use vegetable stock instead of liquid, so just to give it a little bit more flavor. So we all kind of working around the recipe. So if you don't have all the things, please don't worry about that at all. And if you have any question, you can unmute yourself and ask, or just write down in the chat whatever works best for you.
And we know most recipes will say to use about 1 garlic clove. I would always, when it says 1, I would put about 5 I'm just a huge garlic fan. I think it's amazing and just makes everything taste much, much better.
I agree. I definitely agree. Perfect. So I see a lot of people are already working on their onions and on their shakshuka. Sophie, how things are going over there? Is all going well? Yeah, perfect. So in addition to other things that we are going to use, one, we're going to use tomato paste. And that's really a question of what do you like? I mean, I love tomato paste because I feel it gives a little bit richness. When Gil is the one to make shakshuka at home, he never used tomato paste.
I'm all about the fresh ingredients.
Yeah.
They say I invented farm to table.
Yeah, so we'll just make it work, you know, and again, whatever you have, we're gonna use paprika just for a little bit of seasoning. And if you have, and if you want it to be a little bit more spicy, you can also use chili powder or chili flakes. In Israel, we have like 2 different kinds of paprika. We have like sweet paprika, which is like the regular one, and we have spicy paprika. So if you happen to have this season, you can also use it. And also you can use whatever other seasoning that you have. If you have dried parsley, you can put it over there. If you have the everything but the bagel seasoning that I love, you can also add it and sprinkle that on top as well. So it's really, really all up to you all. Yeah. Okay, so from here, if we see that we have all the ingredients in front of us, we're gonna go and we're gonna take it into the stove behind us. So I hope you all have everything prepared. And fun fact about Israeli refrigerator is that we all have different magnets from different weddings or birthdays that we've been to. So all of the Israeli refrigerators look like that. It's just like a giveaway that everyone have in their wedding or their birthdays or stuff like that, which is really kind of funny, but also makes sense. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in the pan. So because it's just the 2 of us here, we're not going to use a really big pan, but once again, up to you. If you're feeding up a family, you can make a really large skillet. So for us, we're just going to use this medium size-ish because we want to make sure we're going to have enough place to all the sauce and also to the eggs after that. So I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil.
And what heat should I use?
Oh, great question, Gil. So you guys want to use probably like medium heat because we want to saute the onions and we don't want them to get burned because onions can get burned really, really easily. So like medium heat, about this size of olive oil. And you know what? You could never go wrong with olive oil. So if you want to add more, just add more. It's really, really up to you all. Okay. So we're just gonna wait for the oil to heat up a little bit. And meanwhile, if you have a lid to your pan, that would be a good idea to put it aside for a second, but to keep it in the area where you're cooking because we're gonna need it to the end as well. So I see that Stephanie put the recipe in case you guys need it, and it's hard to follow us, but I feel like for now, you're all doing a really, really, really good job. So thumbs up. So raise your hand if you can see, if you have all the ingredients and all the things that you need prepared at the moment. You can see 1 hand, 2 hand, 3, 4. Okay, perfect. If you need extra time, don't worry. Take your time. We're gonna go through it all together. So I wouldn't worry about that. So for now, the oil is heating, so we're gonna make that work easily. And I'm just reading some of the comments. You guys are great. Good job. Okay. I see that Sophie wrote us that she makes shakshuka very often. It's a family favorite. Yay! We love shakshuka. I mean, I think most of Israeli love shakshuka. Even though I have to say, when Stephanie and I were thinking of having this cooking class, you know, before Corona time hit us, we were thinking of making Israeli dishes that no one knows. So like something that Israeli loves, like arayes, which is pita stuffed in like chopped lamb and ground beef, which is really, really, really good. But then we figure out, well, no one would have probably ground lamb and no one would have pitas in their houses. So we're trying to go for something simple from ingredients that at least most of us have at home or it's easy to get. So I'm just gonna check to see if the oil is heat up already. And the easiest way of doing that is just to put a little piece of onion into the pan. If you don't see any bubbles next to it, it means that the oil is not heat up yet. If you don't want to waste any of your olives and you have like a wooden spoon that you're using, you can also just put the spoon in the oil and see how it reacts. If it creates little bubbles next to it, it means that the oil is ready. So you can see that the oil is heating up. You can see little bubbles next to the onion over there starting to. So we're just gonna wait 30 more seconds and we're gonna put it in there. Please just be careful. Just be careful on with the hot stove and with the pan. Sharon noticed something. Can you put the camera on what you are doing? Real quick. Oh, never mind. Good. Yeah, so we're gonna do like back and forth of seeing us and seeing the pan, so you guys would be able to see exactly.
I'm gonna try and work as a cameraman today, computer cameraman. I'm gonna work on it.
Yeah, we make it work. It's our first cooking class, so online. So it's gonna be fun and something new for all of us. So we're gonna put all the onion into the pan.
My favorite sound in the whole wide world.
Perfect. So we have all the onions, and we just want to make sure that we're coating it all the way through with the oil because we want it to be sauteed really, really good. I don't know if you can hear the sound that it makes. That's the sound that you want your onion to do. So you want to hear this light, but not too strong, because if it's too strong, it means that the pan is too hot. So we're just gonna saute the onions probably for about a minute or two, and only after that we're gonna add the garlic. And the reason that we're not adding the garlic to begin with is that the garlic can burn really, really fast and really quick. I wanna make sure that the garlic is not burning, but it's really sauteing up nicely with the onions. Okay, so if you have your onions in your pans, you can show it to us so we can all see what great job you're doing. And if you're planning on cooking it afterwards, just make sure to show us the things that you were making. Stephanie, you have your, oh no, I just thought I saw something, never mind. Wow, Leora looking good. Look at that, Stephanie, looks great, perfect. You guys are on the right track, great job. So we're just gonna saute the onions a little bit. And you know what, maybe while we're doing that, you guys can share with us in the comments, what is your favorite Israeli dish? What was like the one thing that you ate either in Israel or in the States, and you just said, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't believe I lived my entire life without eating it before. I can tell you that for me, one of the things were like rogalach from the Marzipan Bakery. I never had it until the week before we came to Houston. We actually met some people from the JCC in Israel, and they told me, oh my gosh, you have to go and see Marzipan Bakery. It's such a great bakery, but I didn't know it, so it was one thing. Okay, who says what? Okay, Michelle loves hummus and pita. I get that, I get that. Leora loves falafel. That is great. Great. Oh, Michelle loves babka. I love babka. And actually, there's one place in a bakery next to where my parents live, and they make chocolate and halva babka. And it's really, I see your faces. I get that. That is true. Maybe we'll have another cooking class and we'll learn how to make that together, because this is absolutely amazing and we love it. I see that Sharon said that she loves burekas. I love burekas as well. Sharon, which filling you like the most? That's a good question, because there's so many different fillings to burekas.
Yeah. So my favorite burekas, and I'm a fan, it is called burekas haftaot, burekas of surprises. So they basically take a burekas, you can find it in any aroma in Israel, and in Israel all paths do lead to aroma. and they take a burekas, a cheese one, they open it up, they put in some pickles, some hard-boiled eggs, and a few vegetables, and close it, and it is just the best, like, noonish food, I would say.
Good, but I think Michelle said that she likes potato and cheese, which is a really good classic burekas in Israel. Through that, I love halva, which is great, mushroom burekas. We're all into the, maybe we'll make burekas next time, you know, it's such an easy recipe. We can go with that. So Gil is just gonna show us how the onion looks like. So you can see, we say that the onion started to like sweat in the pan a little bit, and that would be a perfect time to add the garlic. So once again, in the recipe, it says only 1 clove of garlic. We just went with however garlic that we want to add. And in this house, we love a lot of garlic. So we're just going to take the garlic and we're just going to place it in the pan, and be careful on your fingers and be careful from the heat. So we're just going to mix it around, making sure that the garlic is also evenly coated with the olive oil and is like separate among the onions. Perfect.
Gotta love that smell.
Yeah, and I don't know what about you, but for me, every single recipe that starts with frying an onion and garlic cannot go wrong. So that's my way of cooking. You know, if you start, that would be great. What is that? Sharon said that we should do it even when the virus is over. I'm with you. I wouldn't mind. You know, maybe we'll have a cooking class, a cooking show from it. You know, maybe national TV would want to host us from now on. Could never know. We can say it all started with the Jewish Federation and with Emanu, so it's a good thing. Perfect. I see that Michelle asked if we will put parsley. So I would say that the general question is yes, but we're just gonna sprinkle that on top once we're done. If you want, you can add it before, but only add it after we're gonna add the tomatoes and not before, because otherwise it's gonna get like a burnt flavor into it. We today don't have parsley because we couldn't find any in a grocery store. So we're just gonna use dried parsley or whatever other thing that you have at home. Once again, this recipe is really adaptable and you can use whatever that you want. Okay. So you can see that the onion starts to get a little bit more golden brown, and we really want it to be golden brown. We don't want it to be like strong brown color into it, because it means that all the oils and all the sugar got burned, so we don't want that. So we're just going to keep on doing that for a few more seconds, and we're going to make sure that the tomatoes, the chopped tomatoes and the tomato paste is nearby, because we're going to add that up next. So if you have it already, put it on the side there. Perfect. Hi Sharon, daughter Ella, good to see you. Hi. Perfect. So, if you want, you can take a close look at your pans, and if you want to put your camera so we can see that, and we can tell you if you guys are ready to go to the next stage of adding the tomatoes, you can do that. Otherwise, we're just gonna continue to put it over there. Let's see. Perfect. Ellie, that looks great. Sophie looks perfect. Sophie, I would give it another like minute or so, because we want it to be like golden brownish. But it looks great, you guys. You're doing a really, really, really good job. Okay. So for us, it already started to be golden-ish, really, really bright golden. But for us, it's okay because we really like the texture of the onion. So it's really up to you. Yes, we put the garlic already. So we added it after like 2 minutes that the onions is saute. You can add it now, you can add it before, you cannot add it at all. Really depends on what you want to do. So now we're gonna lower the heat just a little bit, because once we're gonna add the tomatoes with the liquid, it's gonna be really sizzling, and we wanna be extra careful with that. So we're just gonna place the tomatoes. Perfect. And we're gonna stir that a little bit. So you see you have like a nice mixture of the onions and the tomatoes. And once again, we love onions, so we decided to put more onions. If you don't like that much onion, you don't need to put it. It's really all up to you and however you like the food, okay? It's always adaptable to whatever you like and whatever you want to eat for dinner, you know? It's really, otherwise it's really ridiculous to make a recipe if you don't like all the things that you have in there. So we're just gonna stir that, and we're just gonna give it a few minutes just so the tomatoes could take away all the liquids outside and to get really nice and mushy. And then once they start to get mushy, we're gonna add the tomato paste, and we're gonna add the seasoning. And you can, yeah, you can crank up the heat a little bit more if you need it. It really just depends how your pan reacts to that. So we're just gonna stir that a little bit more. You guys are doing a really, really, really good job. Really good. So now, as we said in the beginning, if you want to make shakshuka, but you don't like tomatoes or you don't have any tomatoes left at home, it's not a problem at all. One of the most famous Israeli takeaways on shakshuka is like spinach shakshuka, where you just saute the onions, add garlic, add a bunch of spinach, and then it makes like a green shakshuka. So it's all just depends on what type of sauce you want to create the eggs after that in that. So it's really, really all up to you and whatever you want it to look like.
Now you can always add whatever you want to shakshuka. Again, we're doing the basic, but you can add anything. I think one of the biggest conversations in Israel is, do bell peppers belong in a shakshuka?
That's a really good question, Gil.
We are not a bell pepper house. I know.
Stephanie, thank you.
Bell peppers not only do not belong in a shakshuka, I believe they do not belong anywhere.
Yeah, we don't like bell peppers at all. Maybe that's the reason that we like each other so much. You know, you can never know based on common hate. But so we don't add any bell peppers into our shakshuka. But if you would like to have bell peppers, you can add them. You see, I see thumbs up for the bell peppers. Okay, you can add bell peppers. That's okay. Whether I used yotam or tolongi, oh, perfect recipe. And it has red and yellow bell peppers. Well, a tolongi is a really good cook. But if you ask me, I'm not a chef or anything, I just don't like bell peppers. And that's the only reason that we're not using any bell peppers, but it's really up to you. If you want to add hot peppers, if you want to add jalapeno to make it like extra spicy, you can easily do that. It would probably be like the Tex-Mex version of shakshuka if we're just going to add bell peppers and maybe some queso to top it off. You know, you can never go wrong. But some of the most common, yeah, Gil just going to show you how it looks like. So you can see the tomatoes start to be a little bit more mushy, and you can actually help them by mushing them in the pan. So we're just going to wait a minute with that, and then we're going to add the tomato paste as well. So most of the common toppings or like things that you can add to your shakshuka if you want, I would say every shakshuka in Israel always has feta cheese on top. So you don't add it into the mixer, but just right before serving, you can just crumble feta cheese. I love to put goat cheese in there as well.
Yeah, it's funny because when you go into like cafes or restaurants in Israel, some of them will have 6 different kinds of shakshuka on the menu. Like there's original, green,
Balkan,
right?
They
the
love
Balkan
it.
one.
Which basically just means that you add an eggplant into it.
Which makes it amazing because eggplants are amazing. And some do it dairy, they add cream, some do it meaty, so they add like sausages or things like that. I used to work in a place where they use like very spicy sausages and put that in the shakshuka. That works great with egg. So really, anything that you like can go in a shakshuka. You like chickpeas, put those in a shakshuka. I mean, seriously, just not cucumbers. That's awful. But anything else can work in a shakshuka. It's very accepts everything into it.
Okay, and I can see that we have Haley saying that she's just going to use tomato juice instead of the tomato paste. Perfect way to adapt yourself. Just be careful not to add a lot because you don't want it to be very, very liquidy. I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to use that word. You want to make sure that the sauce is really saucy and not full of liquids. And I see that Michelle, I think, asked us, do we speak Hebrew? So the answer is obviously yes. So we came from Israel just for 2 years, as we said, in Houston, in the Jewish Federation and at the JCC. So we speak fluently Hebrew, and thank God we're fluent in English as well, so we can communicate with you all. If there's a specific word that you want us to say in Hebrew or a sentence, you're more than welcome to write down to us. So now we're going to add the tomato paste. I'm just going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And the reason that I'm going to only do 2 spoons is because that's what we have left from the dish that we made yesterday. So once again, really adapting that. And we want to make sure that the tomato paste is kind of dissolved in the sauce, and it's just going to make it nice and rich. So check your pans and see if you need to add a little bit of extra water, because sometimes the tomato paste make it looks really, really dense, and you want to make sure to add a little bit of water into it. So Gil gonna do it now. So we don't want to use too much water. And also some of the water is going to disappear anyway once we cook it. So I'm just going to add a little bit more.
Now you can of course use like vegetable stock or whatever you have at home. Just water is fine.
So I don't know if you can see that, but like the texture of how it looks like. So you have like the big chunks of tomatoes and you have the onion, but it all started to look like a sauce. So now I'm just gonna season that a little bit. So I'm gonna put a little bit of paprika. And once again, you have like all the measurements of how much exactly to put in the recipe. However, I never met one single Israeli who actually follows a recipe when they make shakshuka. It's really all about feeling the shakshuka and see what you want to do. So we're just going to add a bunch of paprika. And actually in Israel, the paprika has much stronger taste to it. So I'm just going to add more than what I use generally. And I don't like things being very spicy, so I'm just going to add a little bit of the chili. After we do that, we're just gonna mix it inside, stir it really, really well. And now I'm just going to add salt and pepper. So just a bunch of salt. I put some pepper in there as well. Okay. Okay, so once you have your sausage ready after you season that, you can just put the lid on it and let it cook for like a minute. Do you have the water? A little bit more. Oh, I just didn't know that. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more water because it's gonna otherwise be like overcooked and be too dense. So we wanna make sure that the sauce now, if you can get it closer, perfect, has like the consistency of a sauce. You can still feel the pieces of tomatoes, but it's really nice and liquidy, but not too liquidy. So I'm just gonna put the, how do you say, lid. I'm just gonna put, in Hebrew we say michse because kiseh is lekasot, so it makes sense. But lid, we're just gonna put the lid and we're just gonna let it cook for like a minute or two, just so it would have the chance to like absorb all the flavors. Who knows what our next step is going to be? Okay, I see the Haley. Yeah, we didn't add the eggs yet. That is true. Say it looks delicious already. Sometimes you can use ground cumin if you want. I find it that cumin has a really, really strong flavor to it, and it's not always something that I like, especially not in a shakshuka. But if you like cumin, you can add that. If you like coriander, you can add that. There's like countless of options of things, like seasoning that you can add to your shakshuka.
So if you want to make it Italian, you can just add like some basil and what else?
Like mozzarella at the end, if you like. I mean, it's really countless of options. Oregano, always perfect. There's really so many different options. You can use, actually, it's really nice if you have like those small yellow tomatoes. You can also use them and it creates like a beautiful bright yellow color to the shakshuka. Really, the options are countless. So I'm just gonna open the pan. Perfect, and you can see that we have a really good tomato sauce in here. Woohoo! So this is going to be the base of our shakshuka. And now I'm just gonna turn down the heat a little bit because we don't want the sauce to get burned on the bottom. So we're gonna turn down the heat a little bit. And then we're going to create the place for our eggs. So the way that Israeli do that is just taking your spoon and just create those little, in Israel we call them nests. So just imagine that the egg is a bird and we're gonna put it in a nice little nest. So for us today, we're just gonna use 3 eggs because we're not that hungry and we don't need to eat that much. We're only 2 people. So we're just gonna create those 3 little nests. Yeah, we're gonna use with the nests. And then if you want, you can crack the egg on the side and just put it in a small bowl, but I'm gonna go the adventurous way and I'm just gonna put it right into the pan. So just gonna crack it on the top. Be careful and just lay that slowly and nicely. So that was egg number 1. If you're putting the eggs and you're able to take a picture of that, show it to us. Okay, ready, egg number 2. Perfect. And our last egg of today.
That's super concentrated, but the second it hits the pan, you can see the egg beginning to cook. And look at this. This is like, this belongs in a gallery somewhere. And do not forget to salt the eggs as well. Just a little bit of salt on top of the eggs goes a long way.
And now you just want to make sure that you put the lid on the stove and make sure that the heat is not too strong. And now it's really all up to you and however you like your eggs. Some people like the eggs more running, some people like it more firm, and it's all by that depends how long you're gonna cook your shakshuka. What I say that Haley said, Sophie said that you can add avocado on the top when it's done. Yes, always. I would maybe put it on the side when I'm serving because I think like a warm avocado may be
that's because you never tried fried avocado before.
That is true. I never tried fried avocado. That's on me, but they closed the rodeo earlier this year, so I didn't have the chance to try everything fried. And I can see that Haley said that you wouldn't put it in the pan. Oh, we add the chili powder. Yes, we added the chili powder when we added the paprika and the salt and pepper. If you want, you can put it now if you haven't put the eggs yet. If you already put the eggs, you can sprinkle a little bit on top of them, but not too much if you don't want it to be too spicy.
Now, if you've had shakshuka in Israel, or if you've ever had breakfast in like a hotel or a restaurant in Israel, you know that it is never just one thing. People put out like 10 different things because one type of food is never enough in Israel, right? So most of the time, and this is my favorite, I always eat this with some kind of bread, so a challah, a pita, anything that can kind of soak the sauce in is amazing. And I will always make some tahini on the side. So this is like the tahini paste. I just mix it with water and lemon to make tahini. And in Israel, you'll get like some olives on the side and some like, so you always chew on something, you know? That's the Israeli way.
Yeah. They say, yeah, like hotels like Dan Panorama in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, definitely. So there's a lot of really nice hotels in Israel. You want to hear actually something funny about the Dan Panorama? Who wrote that? It was Sophie. Where is Sophie? You wrote something about the Dan Panorama in Tel Aviv. You want to hear something funny and what happened to it now? So because in Israel as well, in Houston, we have this whole coronavirus situation. They actually closed down all the hotels and they turned Dan Panorama into a place where all the people who are sick with coronavirus and don't have enough space at the hospital will go and stay there. So if your symptoms, it's not really bad, but you did tested positive to coronavirus, you're just gonna go for 2 weeks at a hotel with all your families, which is maybe kind of nice deal to have.
That's like, like a nice fest of vacation. medication.
Yeah, if you're not sick with it, then this is good. Yes, you need to cover the pan, which is really, really good, because you want to make sure that the eggs will cook all the way through. So if you're not going to put a lid on top of it, only the sauce is going to get charred on the bottom, and it's not something that we like. So we're just going to turn down the heat a little bit. We're going to put on the lid, and we're just going to wait. So if you can just bring the camera, I just want to show you how it looks like halfway through. So you can see that this egg is still on the go, not really, really ready. And you can see this one started to get a little bit more firm. So we're just gonna keep it covered for a few more minutes before our shakshuka is gonna get ready, which is really, really exciting. I'm very excited for you. I say, Haley, you said not sure about the pan. What do you mean about that? If I can help you, I would be happy to. But yeah, you can just use a medium-sized pan. Just make sure to cover that with a lid. It's just a little bit easier and just helping the eggs a little bit. So while we wait a few more minutes, you can all just tie it up a little bit next to you if you need. If you need to organize your kitchen a little bit. And I think maybe we can bring our station back to the front over here. So Gil is just gonna carry the computer.
We're taking a walk.
Perfect. So we got back to our normal situation. So you can see the shakshuka is being cooked over there in the oven in the back. We have a few more minutes. Gil is showing off.
So as I said, shakshuka always needs bread. So that's why I married somebody who can make bread. So we got this nice fresh loaf waiting here. So always bread, shakshuka, some water. That's all we need.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So yeah, Gil, can you show it one more time? Because I think Stephanie just put us on a larger one. Yeah, so I don't know if you know that, but there's a really good way to make bread almost from scratch called sourdough bread. So if you happen to have a sourdough starter or you want one, I'll be happy to help you with that, because it's really, I don't know, like something about fresh bread is always better than a store-bought one. So it's really, really good. I see that Sophie said that she had a wonderful shakshuka at Kfar Blum. Wow, Kfar Blum is probably one of my favorite places in Israel, I would say. I don't know if you've went kayaking over there. It's really, really nice, and we love to see that. If you have any pictures from there, we would love to see. And I would say generally the north is one of our favorite places in Israel. So both Gil and I were raised, I would say, grew up in the northern part of Israel. So we definitely love this area. But before we actually moved to Houston for this program, we used to live in Beersheba, which is a city in the southern part of Israel.
So we basically grew up north somewhere, moved down to the south. So we did exactly opposite of what every Israeli does. We skipped over Tel Aviv. I think both of us never lived in like a big city, of course, until we moved here to Houston. And just Tel Aviv can get a little bit crowded for us. It's not as spread out as Houston is. So yeah, we're glad to be here. Actually, so in Israel, I work as a tour guide. So I had a full week during the summer about 2 years ago that I had a different group every day. And every day I went to Kfar Blum. So I felt like I have done that kayak thing so many times. And it is still one of the most beautiful places in Israel.
Yeah. Okay, guys, are you all ready? I see that Sophie asked if the bread should be toasted. Actually, for a shakshuka, I don't know if I would toast it because I kind of like that it's soft and can soak all of the sauce and the runny eggs, but it's really up to you. Okay, guys, our biggest moment has arrived. So Gil and I like our eggs a little bit runny, so we're not gonna cook them all the way through. Gil's just gonna bring the shakshuka right over here so you can all see that. Really beautiful shakshuka. Yum, yum, yum. And we're just gonna sprinkle that with a little bit. I love the everything but the bagel seasoning. It's like the one thing that I absolutely adore about American culture. So I'm just gonna sprinkle mine with a little bit of that. If you want and if you like yours, you can put a little bit basil on top. You can put a little bit of coriander, and you can put parsley. It really depends on what you have at home and whatever you want. So I feel it's almost dinner time. So we're very, very excited for that. I just want to see everyone else's. Sophie, can you show us yours? We missed that. Ah, looks great. That is so exciting. Who else? Stephanie looks amazing. Good job. You can add cilantro. You can add whatever you want. This looks so great, you guys. You're so talented. I love that. And if you don't mind, before you dig in and eat all of your shakshuka, if you can, just take a picture of it and post it either on the Facebook Live, or my profile on Facebook is Hadas Houston Shlicha. Gil is Houston Shaliach, Gil Brav, Jewish Federation. We would love to see whatever you cooked with us today. And we want to say thank you all for joining us for a cooking class online, which I'm very, very happy that we had the chance to do with you all today. So thank you. Enjoy your dinner. You can put a little bit of salad next to it, or you can put sour cream, always goes well, or like creme fraiche or something like that. Thank you all very, very much. If you want to join us tomorrow morning, the Jewish Federation and PJ Library, we're doing an Israeli young chef cooking class. So we're going to make an Israeli style cheesecake, which we called ugat biskvitim, which is like tea biscuits and pudding and sour cream. It's really good. So you can go to the PJ Library of Houston Facebook page. And otherwise, we'll see you soon, I hope. Thank you all very, very much, and enjoy your shakshuka.